Hey there, welcome back to another video. This time it is a review of what I honestly have to say is my pick for the most disappointing film that I've seen this year. And that film is Upgrade, a movie that I personally feel needed a serious upgrade in the screenwriting department, especially when it comes to this film's climax, which not only comes out of left field, but does not fit with the rest of the movie. This is a film that I was really looking forward to because of the trailers. I thought it was marketed really well. I should have been leery of it, considering the fact that it's a Blumhouse movie, and they're not known for doing straightforward science fiction action movies. But I thought that since it's under their Blumhouse Tilt banner, I thought that they would be more consistent. I thought they would branch out and do something differently, so they wouldn't just do the same horror stuff. But that's clearly not the case. This review is definitely going to have some spoilers in it. I can't discuss this film without spoiling things. But anyway, let's get right down to it. Upgrade is a 2018 science fiction horror film. That's what it's marketed as now, after the fact. But when it came out in theaters, the trailers show nothing horror about it. Absolutely nothing. There was no horror aspects that were advertised. There was nothing about it that was even remotely horror. It was marketed as a sci-fi action revenge flick, like the $6 Million Man meets Death Wish. Forgive me for saying a dollar. Apparently, maybe I've been listening to the Shane McMahon theme song too many times. Dollar. But anyway, yeah, it was not marketed as a horror film. So this is another instance of a movie that had misleading marketing, which is, I hate it. Why do that? What are you doing? Like, what is the purpose of misleading your audience and advertising a film that you didn't actually make? That's just so frustrating. And it's like, why would you purposely do that? I don't understand why that's a good marketing tactic. The Grey did that as well. The Grey marketed itself as some kind of survival action movie with Liam Neeson punching wolves in the face. And who doesn't want to see Liam Neeson punching wolves in the face? Well, apparently the makers of The Grey, the movie that was in the footage that was used for the trailers that showed Liam Neeson punching wolves in the face, which is not in the movie. That's not actually in the film. And the movie's a survival horror movie where nobody survives. So it's one of those things, it's like, I don't get it. Like, just market your film to the audience that it's intended for, and don't lie to the audience. It's really... it's one of those things. It's like, I'm just kind of, I'm at a loss for words why this still happens. But anyway, this is so it's marketed as a sci-fi action revenge flick, as like a vigilante justice flick with a little bit of some morbid sense of humor, and it was more of a kind of a take on Hardcore Henry, but with a different aspect to it, with a completely different perspective, because it's not it's not shot in first person, and also it deals with an AI. And it's directed by Leigh Whannell, who also wrote the script. Now, Leigh Whannell might be a name that rings some bells because he was involved in the Saw films. He wrote Saw. He wrote Saw 2 and 3. He also wrote Dead Silence, and he wrote Insidious. But he also wrote Cooties, which I really enjoyed. I thought that was a lot of fun. So, and that was the most recent film that I had seen from him. So, honestly, I was thinking, all right, you know, this is not a bad guy to pick for this particular film. And I have to say this, Leigh Whannell's direction is absolutely not the issue. His direction in this I actually felt was quite excellent. I thought for the low budget, which is around $3 to $5 million, he really used it spectacularly, and he got the most out of the actors that he had to work with. And the film did not look like it cost $3 to $5 million. It looked like a bigger budgeted film, so it didn't look like a direct-to-video movie that was put in theaters. So I have to give Leigh a lot of credit for his direction. I felt his writing, though, that's where it starts to slide downward for me, is with the writing. And I'm just really trying to wrap my head around why he chose to end the film the way that he did. And it's just one of those things that this is a movie that had some flaws before the ending, but I could live with them. And then the ending comes along, and it's like the film has a major malfunction and then suffers a critical error at the end and shuts down. And with a film like this that has so much potential, has a likable lead, a likable, charismatic lead, and it all of a sudden decides to become a body horror film or just a straight up horror movie and pulls a twist out of its ass like M. Night Shyamalan, it kills the movie. It really does kill the movie. For me, it's like Leigh Whannell shot his own film in the back of the head with this ending. Yeah, it's unexpected. So is an unexpected kick to the balls. Okay? So is somebody just randomly deciding to say the worst things imaginable on camera. There are a lot of things that are unexpected. A bird shitting on your head. But that's not. That doesn't mean it's good. Is a bird shitting on your face a good thing because it's unexpected? I'm getting sick of this whole let's give a movie a pass for an ending that doesn't mesh or match with the rest of the film and does not fit the tone of the movie either, and we'll give it a pass because it was unexpected. Oh, I didn't see it coming. Yeah, I didn't see it coming for a reason, because there's no build-up to it. It's just, there really isn't. You could say some people might argue, well, there's a few scenes here and there that could be considered foreshadowing, but that's honestly a stretch, if you ask me. So I'm getting into some major spoilers here, because the only way I can really talk about the script and my issues with it is to spoil some things. So if you haven't seen the movie, I would say don't watch this video or the rest of it. I'll just let you know right now, there were a lot of things that I liked about it, but overall, I felt the film was a disappointment and a step below average because of the fact that it just was not a satisfying whole. It was a failure in execution. But that's just my personal opinion. I know a lot of people like this one, and I know people have actually suggested this one to me, and I could see why, because I like the trailers, I like the idea, and there are things that I like about it. So it's one of those movies that it pisses me off even more than a film that's just a total incompetent piece of shit because of the potential that is wasted. It's kind of like how I felt with the film Winchester, but like to an even larger degree. So when it comes to this writing by Leigh Whannell, 98 or 99% of the film is a sci-fi action revenge flick. It is patterned after Death Wish or Vigilante, and even has a incredulous sense of humor that's sprinkled throughout, because the lead character, when he gets the AI stem implanted into him and he gives it the ability to control his body and do all these cool stunts and do all these cool martial arts stuff and do all this fighting, he reacts in a way that is quite interesting because he's not just going along with it. He's like freaked out and he's like, what the fuck? And there's a lot of humor that comes from that. From the character Gray, played by Logan Marshall-Green. And so when you have a film that has that sort of tongue-in-cheek tone and is over the top, and there are some serious moments here and there, but it's definitely more of a revenge fantasy flick, and it has more of a focus on the action and the craziness of the whole scenario. And that's really cool. I mean, there's some great practical gore effects, like one guy gets his face cut in half and it's all done practically. Another guy gets his head blown off and it's all done with practical effects, and there's no CGI. And for the most part, there's very minimal CGI in this. I mean, I really like the fact that the film showed a lot of real production design and art direction. It wasn't just shot all behind a green screen. It even had things like futuristic cars, which is something you're like, okay, like, is that really that impressive? But in a lot of films nowadays, it kind of is, because nowadays they just rather do that in CG. But this is actually real designs. These are real cars that were built specifically for the film. So it reminded me of other movies that took place in the future, like Demolition Man and stuff like that. And so I thought it was really cool. And for a film with a low budget, it definitely used every last bit of the budget that was there, because it looks like a bigger blockbuster movie, or at least a film that cost double, maybe even triple the $3 to $5 million budget just by the look of it alone. But all of those things don't ultimately save the film for me. When it comes to the writing, I also felt that it's a very slow sort of film in the start, and there's a lot of the tired and true sci-fi cliches that you've seen done so many times, which rears its ugly head with its climax, with its ending. But at the same time, that's something that at the end of the day I could deal with, because I'm one of those people that's like, all right, if I've seen it done before, that doesn't necessarily hurt the film or make it bad, because we're at a point now where there isn't much, if anything at all, that has not been done on film already. So, and not only just once, but multiple times. So it having cliches wasn't necessarily an issue. Once it got started with its whole revenge plot, then it really picked up pace, and there was some fun fight scenes and some nice choreography, and the banter back and forth with Stem and Gray was really fun, and there was a lot of nice bits of dark humor. It was a very entertaining film. Straightforward, to the point, down and dirty, sci-fi, action, revenge film. And I was enjoying it. I really was. Although there are some things that could have been better, like the action sequences, because sadly it's one of those films where a lot of the action you already saw in the trailer, which was disappointing. They did try to throw in a car chase later on, but it wasn't much. And the fight scenes, honestly, I saw them done way better in Hardcore Henry. And I bring that film up because in a lot of ways this is similar to that, and I definitely have to say that Hardcore Henry is a much better film. For me personally, Hardcore Henry wipes the floor with Upgrade, not only with the action sequences, but with other elements. Both films look pretty impressive for the low budget, but I mean, the first-person perspective just really makes Hardcore Henry a so much more unique experience than Upgrade. And I'm not saying that Upgrade is completely without any merits, or that it sucks or anything, like at least not the entire thing, but it's one of those Elysium type of scenarios. That's another film that disappointed me, that had all these good elements and all these good things, but the story left me left me wanting, and it was not the best, and there were some other elements that didn't quite click. And with Upgrade, the ending is so fucking aggravating and so terrible that the small issues that Upgrade had for me before that are now amplified, because now the things like the main villain, who really is just this kind of he's just a weird looking guy. He reminded me of John Waters, like the director. So I'm like, what is John Waters doing playing the villain? You know, it's like this John Waters looking bad guy. It's just not intimidating in the slightest. But anyway, you know, they're trying to go with it, and it was working for a little bit. And he has these abilities that are not really necessarily explained that much. And he's supposed to be able to do all these different things, but he gets dispatched in a very lame way. He's marketed as this main villain and this leader of this group of assassins, and he just dies in the most, really the most uncreative way possible. It's just, and it makes him look like a dumbass, because he falls for the oldest trick in the book. He lets his emotions get in the way, and then he gets his head stuck on a piece of glass, and that's it. No bombastic thing, no like decapitation or anything, not even another headshot, nothing, just back of the head slammed on a shard of glass that's sticking upright. So you killed him in the same way that one of the characters in the boring, dusty old movie The Awakening from 1980 did. Wow, really? But the difference is, this time it's not the little piece of glass that falls from the ceiling slowly and kills somebody. It's the piece of glass is already on the ground. Like, you could have at least showed the glass go right through his head or his eye or something. It's just, there's really, and he's supposed to be this badass cyborg human hybrid thing, and with all these with these implants and with nanobites and the ability to sneeze these little tiny nanobites who can go into your body and kill you, and he dies in the lamest way possible, and with not really much of a fight. Before, the fight that he had with Gray was just a lot of defensive sort of stuff, because he can predict what he's going to do, what the AI is going to do next. And then he does this, oh, I'm going to get pissed because you killed my brother, and then he gets his ass killed. And I'm just like, if you're going to do that, like, at least have him die in a memorable, cool way. I mean, yeah. So I had an issue with that. But nothing compared to this fucking ending. Like, the reason why this is a review / a rant, kind of a rambling thing, is because of this fucking ending. I was sitting there with my friend, and we both saw this movie, and we both are just completely aghast at the ending of this film. First off, it does the typical, oh, the scientist that put the AI inside of him is in on this whole thing. Great. And I could have dealt with that if they had a cool climax at the end where Gray takes on like 50-something guards or something and dispatches them in cool ways. Nope, doesn't happen. Shows up back at this rich guy's lair. And then the film pulls out this fucking twist, which at first I wasn't that upset about. I was like, okay, this could kind of work. the whole thing where the AI, you find out the AI itself, the STEM, was the one that was behind everything. STEM is the one that set Gray up. STEM is the one that hired the assassin. STEM is the one that had them kill his wife and then had them paralyze him so he would consider having STEM put into him. STEM is the one that made him remove the fail-safes, which made it so STEM was able to take control of his body, because STEM wants to evolve. Okay, fine. Okay, there's some interesting commentary there, and stuff to do with the AI, and how the AI is not to be trusted, and that old bag. Okay, all right. But I have to admit, the twist I did not see coming, so that I could deal with that. But then it just decides to pull some ex machina bullshit out of its asshole, and the STEM puts this false memory, I guess, in the consciousness, which now Gray is thinking he's a part of. So at first, when this shot showed up that showed Gray in the hospital and his wife was there with him, and it's all this soft focus stuff, I was like, don't fucking do this. Don't do this. It was all a dream bullshit. And it basically does that, but in a different way. It doesn't do, oh, it was all a dream the entire movie, but your lead character, who really, I cannot give Logan Marshall-Green enough credit for his performance in this. He was absolutely fantastic in this role as Gray, a very likable guy. When he gets paralyzed, you really feel for him. The performance in this reminded me a lot of the performance from Jason Begg in Monkey Shines. And honestly, if this film wanted to be a psychological horror film, it really could have worked if it was doing that from the start. This is like if Monkey Shines was some revenge film with Jason Begay using the monkey to get revenge on the people who raped and killed his wife or something and then paralyzed him. But then all of a sudden, at the end, the monkey takes full control of him and he's like a fucking vegetable now. Or the monkey finds a way to transfer his consciousness into his, and the monkey is controlling him. It's like, what the it's the type of ending where you're just like, you gotta be fucking kidding. And that's what this movie does. The cop gal who's been chasing Gray the whole time figures out what's going on. She gets killed in cold blood because Gray no longer exists. Gray is essentially dead because he is now in the back of his own mind, living in some fantasy land where his wife is still alive, and he doesn't have this AI that's controlling him and making it so he can walk. And now the AI is in control. STEM has full control of his body, kills the cop in cold blood, kills the creator, because that was the whole plan, kill the creator so then the creator can't make any more chips, or the creator can't make any more stems, or the creator can't put the fail-safes back on, or anything like that. And now STEM is in full control. And the film decides to just be another one of those typical, oh, look how awful and how scary artificial intelligence is. We can't trust the AI, and this is the reason why. And I know some people have said, well, that does something different. That's not different. That's honestly the antithesis of different, if you ask me. Especially with this type of film. It would have done itself more favors if it was just, it stuck to its guns. It was just a revenge flick with a sci-fi twist. That's what it was. It was a revenge flick with a sci-fi twist. There's no bullshit fucking social commentary about how evil artificial intelligence is and how scary. I mean, we've seen that done all before tons of times in a bunch of other movies, and done better. In 2001: A Space Odyssey, in other episodes of The Outer Limits, stuff like that. It's like, why go that route? I guess it's just because Leigh Whannell wanted a shocking ending. He wanted to make a horror film, but he felt like, oh, maybe I would not be able to market it that well, or people wouldn't be that into it, so I'm gonna make a film that's 99% a sci-fi action revenge movie, but then the last 1% of it, in the last 5 minutes, is some body horror thing, and people are gonna eat it up and commend it for doing such a swerve, and people are gonna look at it now as a body horror movie. And the thing is, I'm sorry, it doesn't work as that, because the majority of the film is not a body horror film. The majority of the film is not a horror movie at all. The majority of the movie is a sci-fi action revenge film. That's what it is. It's not a fucking horror movie. So when you have a horror movie ending in a sci-fi action revenge movie, it's not satisfying. It's aggravating, it's annoying, and it's irritating, and it's frustrating, because you don't get the climax, you don't get the it's like the film gave you blue balls, like a crippling case of blue balls, to the point where it's just excruciatingly painful, because you're like, fucking hell. You build up all of this, you're giving me all of this, you're talking about these other upgraded humans and all of this, and I'm thinking about, well, you know, you could have Gray find a way to get control back over the AI and join the police department, and the ending of the film could be him going out and hunting down more of these upgraded humans and set yourself up for a sequel. But no, you effectively end it all by killing your charismatic lead, by putting him in the back of a psychopathic AI who now has control over his body and is definitely going to kill more innocent people, and it is going to do whatever it takes to continue to evolve. The same shit that happened in Ex Machina, the same shit that happened in a bunch of other movies that deal with the AI. It's like, why would you go that route when you have a really cool concept of a action revenge flick with a character who's likable, who has the ability now to access an AI and do all these cool things and solve crimes and fight like Neo in the Matrix? Why would you throw all that away for a stock, lame ass AI allegory? I don't understand it. I really don't. It's like if you had the movie Blade and it ended with Blade killing the girl played by Nibush Wright by biting her throat out, or just totally just drinking all of her blood, or joining with the blood god or some shit, and now he's the king of all vampires. You'd be like, what the fuck? Like, if that's the ending of Blade, it was all this setup for Blade to be the one to get the blood god, and the blood god would take control of him, and then the movie would end with him killing everybody, and the vampires are now going to rule the world. You'd be like, fuck that movie. You'd be like, Blade could kiss my ass. So yeah, I have not been this pissed off at a film in a while. It's just like such a failure in execution. Just critical error with this ending. I don't know what the fuck Leigh Whannell was thinking. And if you like this ending, to each their own. I don't get it, but that's fine with me. I don't have an issue with it, but that just hurt the film so much for me, because like I said, it does not match the rest of the film. If it matched the tone of the rest of the movie, and if it matched the rest of the film, then I wouldn't have an issue with it. If it was a dark body horror film from the start, that'd be fine with me, because that actually fits. but it's not. So it doesn't work with me. It's a jarring juxtaposition. It really is. But like I said, despite that, there are things about it that I like, which is why it's so frustrating. And that's why it angers me so much. Is because there are so many things that I liked about it. Like Whannell's direction, the performances by Logan Marshall-Green, even some of the other, the performance by Logan Marshall-Green. The other actresses were fine too. Actresses and actors, they were fine too. Gabriel, Harrison Gilbertson, Benedict Hardie, Melanie Vallejo, and Christopher Kirby and stuff like that, and even Simon Maiden as the voice of STEM. There's even a clever opening credits where the STEM itself was the one that was talking. It was pretty much reading off the names in the opening credits. So that was an interesting thing. And yeah, apparently got a dang moth in here because I just saw it fly across the camera. But anyway, so yeah, that was pretty cool. An inventive opening credit sequence. I really like the score by Jed Palmer. It was a really cool techno, new new wave instrumental vibe that fit the film well and gave it a nice mood and atmosphere. I really thought it was wonderfully shot by Stefan Duskio, who did the cinematography. And the editing was quite solid too by Andy Canny. And it was only 95 minutes. It wasn't that boring, although it took a little bit to get going. I have to admit, early in the beginning was a little bit of a tough sludge, or it was a little bit of there was some tough sledding in the beginning, but like I said, once it got to the revenge part, it really picked up. But that ending, it effectively just, it's like the film just committed harakiri on itself. It commits suicide. It pulls the plug on itself, and that's what ultimately really prevents the film from being even average for me, even a time waster. I have no desire to watch this again because of that ending. Like, why would I? The character I've been enjoying, the character I have sympathized with, the character that I have grown to like at the end is dead at the end, and the AI is now in control of his body. Like, why the fuck would I want to watch that again? The action sequences, they're fun, but they're not so great that they make up for the ending. And the concept is cool and somewhat unique, but it's not cool and unique enough to make up for the ending either. So, yeah. And it didn't do that well in the box office. I didn't think it was going to anyway. Too much competition. But initially I was like, I hope this does well because this is doing something different. It's putting a spin on an old idea, and it still does that, but it still is a letdown. Like I said, it has a major malfunction and then suffers a critical error. That's the perfect way to describe Upgrade for me. I would say, if you're curious about it, if you like the trailer, if it looks interesting to you, I would say give it a watch sometime. Maybe you'll like it more than me. Maybe the ending will mesh more with you. Maybe you'll appreciate it. I'm not trying to deter anybody from ever seeing this, especially if they were curious about it. But I definitely wouldn't say go pay full price to see this in the theater or anything like that, or even full price on home video. I'd say rent it or stream it or something, because overall it's too flawed of a film for me personally to really recommend it to everybody. But anyway, I don't know what else to say about the film, except if I were to rate it out of 5 stars, I would give Upgrade 2 out of 5. And it pains me to say it, but I have to. The action sequences were fun. The direction was good. There was some good performances. I like the score, the editing, the cinematography. The technical aspects of this film are top notch. But when it comes to the storytelling aspects, it really falters, and it's especially evident with its just absolutely maddening ending, which just pulls some bullshit twist out of its ass, and then pulls another twist out of another ass, and then tries to be this year's Ex Machina or some shit, and it just doesn't work. It's a fucking huge, it's an enormous failure in execution. But anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, I will see you later. See ya.